Zidane Danny, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Nerd Chat here on Electro Ninja's Lab. I am here with my fellow host,
I'm Jack.
and I am very tired. But today we're going to be discussing a few things. As you can see with the topic, we have Gamescom, but I also want to talk a little bit about the uh, uh, the PlayStation situation, especially since this week, starting today, as this video is going up, um, is the start of the stop playing PlayStation for a week. As so don't use your don't use your console, and you don't necessarily don't have to use your console, but don't connect to the PlayStation Network. Um, I personally am going all the way and not even gonna touch the console starting tomorrow. So, yeah. Um, and hopefully a lot of other people are going to be participating in this. I don't know exact details on how many people are doing this, but just a reminder that yes, this is the start of it. Obviously, there's going to be people who are not going to, but it's hopefully enough people are going to be being a part of this, taking a stance against the digital only hellscape. And yeah, we kind of want to talk about that because like we've given our thoughts about a digital only world, and the important thing to remember is I I mostly play physical and Jack mostly plays digital. Um like I think you can count how many physical games you have, right?
Yeah.
So compare it, and probably can't for your digital games. Um but or you might, but it's still like significantly more digital games than physical games. Um and that's fine. It happen. Very There are various different reasons why people use digital media over physical media. There are space constraints. There are in fact, I'll let you say some of the reasons why you would go digital over physical. Um, do you have any specifics besides like space constraints?
Um, they're easier to travel with.
Mm-hmm.
I travel with my Switch quite a bit between my house and my mom's house, and it's easier for me to have digital games that I can just open
Mm-hmm.
than physical games that are need me to change the cartridge and things like that. I can only carry 10 games in my Switch case,
Yep.
plus the one that's in my Switch, so 11.
Yeah.
And it just makes it harder to have to switch out and in.
Yeah. And that is a reasonable reason. There's all sorts of those things that are and I think that if this had come from like say Nintendo as just like an example, I could completely understand that, especially like with the transportation thing. Um PlayStation on the other hand is it's one spot, and like at that point just get a fucking PC is the thing. Like yes, it's going to be more expensive to get a gaming PC, but based off of the what we're seeing, it would actually be the PC would last longer is like part of it. Um like get a good high-end PC, and like yes, it's going to be more expensive than a PlayStation, but also like there are rumors right now that the PlayStation 6 is going to cost like $1,000, and it's like why? You're getting I don't know. It's absolutely insane, and it's not even going to have a disk drive supposedly. And that's some of the big issues. There's a lot with that, and it's just like now we've known for a while that they've been trying to get people away from physical games for a while, but the thing is that one of the biggest issues when it comes to a lot of digital media is that you don't really own it. And PlayStation has been like really clear about this that you don't own a lot of your games, and that's a problem. Or not necessarily that you don't own games, but people have bought things from PlayStation, and PlayStation just took them away when deals went away, or like I think it was like some movies and stuff, like tons and tons of movies, and people just lost access to their movies because they don't have the rights to them anymore, and it's bad. Like comparatively, if we were let's compare them to Amazon, because like Amazon has its issues, but at least when it comes to Amazon, you own your digital media that you get, whether it be audiobooks, whether it be movies or shows. If you purchase it, you own it. And that is the big difference when it comes to PlayStation, is like we don't know. Because they've proven themselves before that they will take things away from people, and they didn't give refunds, and that's like part of the issue. Um, like I don't know. I could kind of understand a certain extent of it, but I think that another aspect of it is that a lot of these people are also looking at these numbers as like more people play digitally than they play physically, but at the same time, you're not really comparing. You're looking at all of these statistics across multiple different platforms, and like, let's take Square as an example. The vast majority of Square Enix's money comes from a digital only game. It comes from Final Fantasy XIV. Final Fantasy XIV does so well that it can basically prop up the entire company just by itself, and like that's its own problem. Um, but yeah, so like that gets so much money that, like I said, it can prop up the entire the rest of the company. um but like Kingdom Hearts and single player Final Fantasies, Dragon Quest, like all these other games exist, and they're working on them and all of this stuff, and they're basically being told, okay, fuck you. All of these games are not going to be able to be physical anymore, and that's just upsetting. And granted, we have time. We do have about a year. We have How long do we have? It's January of 2028, so we have a little over about a year and 4 months, give or take, and they're not before this idea comes to fruition. So, um, if companies do get, hopefully a lot of companies get out their games before then, if they're going to be on PlayStation, and they can get those games going. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's a lot with it, and there is a hope in my heart. I don't think that they're going to do this because if Gamescom, uh, if that, yeah, if the whole group behind Gamescom made a stance against PlayStation, it would probably make massive waves and hopefully like cause them to be like, "Oh, maybe we don't want to do this." Um but my hope as to what Gamescom could do, since this is during especially since this is during this week, is a stance against them, basically saying, because of the fact that because this is so recent news, I don't think that they're going to be able to like say, okay, none of your games are going to be allowed to be shown here at Gamescom. You'll still be they'll still be there. I think that it's been confirmed that PlayStation is going to be at Gamescom, but if at opening night live for Gamescom they make a stance and they say, hey, PlayStation, this is fucked up. They would probably use different words, but this is fucked up. We are not allowing you at Game Awards. If you keep doing this, if you do not change your stance on this, you are not allowed at Game Awards anymore. Games that are currently on your system, they will be allowed if they're on something else, but any game that is solely on PlayStation or is made by the PlayStation company or whatever, various different, whatever basically that PlayStation has their mitts in, they are not allowed to win a game award. They are not allowed to be nominated for a game award, and they are not allowed to even show trailers at the Game Awards. For this upcoming Game Awards that is happening at the end of the year. Um, if they make that very loud decree, I think that it could change PlayStation's mind and be like, "Oh, okay, this is one of the biggest events of the year for gaming. Maybe we shut up and listen for a sec, and we actually rethink this." I think that that would be a very big. Uh, um. Oh. I don't know. I'm hoping that they make that stance. Um. Like, I don't think that they're necessarily gonna go as far as that, as basically like you are not allowed to, none of your games will be nominated, none of your games will be able to win. No, we won't show any of your trailers, um, because that's like a third of the gaming industry, just from PlayStation, and just saying no, fuck you for all of this nonsense. You're not allowed at the Game Awards. Like that's a big deal. Um, and I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they will do that. But also, it's hard to say. Um, there's just a lot with that, and it's complicated. It's gonna take some time to figure out what they're gonna do, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, hopefully this week will be enough. Um, but the other thing about this as well is like PlayStation made this decision without consulting any of their companies, any of the other companies that are using this, and a lot of them, not all of them, but quite a lot of them are being like, "What the actual hell?" And like Sega has specifically made a stance against it. Um, I think as far as I'm aware, the only two that have not made a deal about this is Square Enix. I think is they've said that if it does end up happening, it's not the end of the world for them. And I think the same thing happened with Capcom. I think both of them would prefer for it to still be a thing because that's free money. It's a good amount of money that you could get from doing physical versions. But they also have made the stance of like, we don't think that it's necessarily going to affect us that much. Um, but I don't know. I think about like other companies as well. Is like if we think about say GameStop or other big game companies like them, um like Game in the UK, and there's like a few other places all across the world. All of these companies are suddenly going to lose like a third of their, well, maybe not a third of their business, but it's a good amount of their business. And if PlayStation does this, then that means that other companies are also going to do this, and it's just no one's going to buy a card that's in a box. I'm sorry. Um like a few years ago, sure, that happened. Um like obviously World of, if you don't know about World of Warcraft's thing, World of Warcraft basically would sell a box, and that had the software for the game, and that was for every single expansion. I want to say until like Pandaria, I think was the last one that they did that. I don't know. I'm not or no, I think it was Legion. Whatever one it was. And they did that for a while. Like that's cool. I'm glad that they did that. Um but yeah, so they've done all of their stuff with that, and that's one thing. Um, and I don't know. So the thing is that people don't really like that idea at all anymore. So I don't think that and no digital game is doing that. You're not doing that for any of your PC games. You're just like going to Steam. You're going to whatever, and the thing is that there are analysts. Suppose there's two groups of analysts. Ones that you can tell are clearly paid off, and ones that are just being like, "No, this is dumb. This is extremely dumb." Anyone who's saying this shit is dumb. The ones that are clearly paid off are basically saying, "Oh yeah, this could mean cheaper games on cheaper digital games." No, it doesn't mean that. They didn't make the games cheaper than the physical versions, anyways. You're just giving them a monopoly, and yeah, I'm tech. We'll see what happens when it comes to this as well, because there's also the conversation of, is this legal? um, because this is a monopoly, and that is a big question that is kind of coming around to a lot of people's heads. Is like, is this a monopoly? Um, because if you own the store, then you set the prices and you have complete control over the prices, and people can't go to other places to try and get other prices anymore. People can't buy a used game for significantly cheaper. They can't do all of these different things. I mean, some used games are obviously more expensive than their standard ones, but that's a thing to think about as well. Um, so I don't know. It's it's a lot. It is definitely a lot. I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts specifically that we should talk about for this?
Honestly, not really. I
Okay.
don't play PlayStation, and I largely play digital, so
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But anyways, let's change the topic from being so downer to Gamescom and like all of the things that could happen there. Um so first off, I think that we should I don't know what's gonna be there. I honestly don't. There's not really been a whole lot of like some games have specifically stated that, or game companies have said that they will be there. Um, and I think actually quite a few of them have. I don't know the exact numbers or anything like that, but yeah, a lot of game companies are going to be there. I believe that Marvel Rivals is going to be there. Um, which is actually like some decent timing because I believe they have they have a few weeks left before the next um update. So they might be it's kind of been a question recently when it comes to Marvel Rivals, if they're going to be doing something um what's going to be the next hero that's going to get added to the game, and who knows. It's kind of like one of the things that people are thinking is like maybe it's going to be freaking like Gore the God Butcher, but beyond that we have no idea any of the others. So who knows? We don't know who the characters are going to be. uh Bless you. um so that's a possibility. So I think another thing that would be really interesting and great timing if they did decide to do this, but if Marvel Rivals decided to finally give their Switch 2 release, um because a big game a big game of whatever this is, being at Gamescom um would be a good time to actually reveal, hey, it's coming. um but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. There's, but yeah, there's supposedly like Final Fantasy 14 is having like an event, is having a booth there. Square is going to be there in general. So I think that it is a reasonable assumption that Square Enix is probably going to have like a whole bunch of announcements. Um, they're probably not going to do anything too major when it comes to Final Fantasy 14 at this point in time, because they still have for one, they still have the September update, which is going to give us the last bit of story for the expansion. And then we still have at the end of September. Wait, no, whenever it is, it's soon. I think it's probably October actually. Now I'm thinking about it. But soon we're getting the last part of FanFest, which is going to be the Switch FanFest. Or not the Switch FanFest, the Japanese FanFest, and that's going to give our last bit of announcements for Evercold. So those things are so I don't necessarily expect that there's going to be too much when it comes to 14 being at Gamescom, but I do think that there is a decent chance of other Square Enix titles being heavily featured at Gamescom, whether it be opening night live or just being there in general. So whether that be another Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, which is likely, another which geez Louise, if they're going to get like this many trailers, I hope that they're not going to go they're not going to overextend and like accidentally reveal everything. But I think that there's a decent chance of a new Kingdom Hearts trailer. There's a decent chance at uh Final Fantasy 7 whatever it is getting another trailer. Which by the way, that is going to be the new one of those is going to automatically be on Switch. So I think that the first two games of the remakes trilogy are already on Switch. So that's something cool for you. Um but yeah, so those two um there is a chance of Final Fantasy 17 getting announced, but also I kind of doubt it. Um they could reveal other remakes because that's it's been a heavy topic of discussion in the Final Fantasy fan groups about the possibility of a Final Fantasy 9 remake. Because a lot of people would like there to be a Final Fantasy 9 remake. Because it 9 is really popular. And personally, all I want is a remaster that just adds voice work and stuff. But
That'd be
also,
nice.
yeah. But also I don't necessarily expect them to go too I kind of do expect them to, if they are gonna do that, that they're probably gonna go insane and
Yeah.
do like a full remake, probably very similar to that of the remake trilogy. So we'll see. Um because 9 isn't as popular as 7, but it's still pretty high up there when it comes to that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um you've played a little bit of 9, correct?
Correct.
What did you think of that actually? Because I don't know if
It
we've
was
got
fun.
you. It was fun. Okay. Did you finish it or no?
No.
No. Okay. How far did you get then?
Not super far, just to the first city.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm trying to remember where that is. So you basically you went down. Okay. Yeah. So you went through the cave and you got to the city where all of the where everything is. You didn't actually go. You didn't talk to anyone in the city, right? Or have you? Were people like waking out about Vivi?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. To be fair, people wake out about Vivi like everywhere, but that's yeah. That one's a really big one because it starts to kind of delve into Vivi's backstory, and you should finish the game at some point. But also, like I know I've given you like 20 other games to play at to get through, and especially with Final Fantasy 14, it's like that's a massive story. Um 9 you could probably finish in a few hours. Like like if you played like a day straight, you could probably finish it. So you could probably finish it in a few days. Um But yeah, um, 14 you could not. 14 takes months. Even with like, yeah, even if you go fast, it takes months to get through 14. Um, like it would take a few days to just get through Realm Reborn, and then it's a little bit shorter with the other expansions, but yeah. Um, yeah, so that's that. I don't know. But yeah, they could do. I think that they could absolutely do some remakes. There's been rumors of another near game coming out. Um, Unfortunately, there is no way of knowing what the heck that's gonna be. Um, we just know that yes, there's rumors of a near game. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think that this Gamescom could have a very high likelihood of being the Square Enix comeback tour because they just finished up their whole reworking of the company. So I don't necessarily think that there's going to be like a sequel to Elliot. Like, did you finish Elliot?
No.
Okay. Like I said, Elliot is, yeah, Elliot is Elliot. And I don't think that it's necessarily going to get a sequel, but personally, I would like something in the same world. I think that would be a lot of fun. Um, Elliot was very fun, and I hope that because I think it's technically its own team that's doing Elliot. I would like to see more from them. I do believe that they are the same people who do Octopath, so maybe I need to just play the Octopath games. Um, but yeah, so we'll see about if they do more with Elliot at some point. I don't think that they're going to necessarily make an announcement of there being another Elliot game. Um, at this point, because the game just came out, or well, this year it came out. Um, and they're not Pokemon. um, but yeah. Speaking of, do you think that there would be anything for Pokemon? Gamescom, I don't think usually has anything for Pokemon. But would you think that that could happen?
Um, I would hope so, but honestly, I don't think so.
Yeah, like Nintendo might do a direct at some point during this time, but they don't really announce those until like a week before. So if it is gonna happen, it would probably be like my guess is probably at the end of Gamescom, which is next Sunday. So yeah, if they're gonna announce a direct, it's probably gonna be at some point. I don't know. They're probably more likely to do something at TGS, honestly, which is next month. But yeah. I don't necessarily think that there's gonna be a Pokemon direct at any point again soon. Um, but they do need to give us some more announcements when it comes to the next game because that's not like at this point it's not until 2028, I believe, right?
Which?
Huh? The
What isn't it?
isn't or no, not 2028. 2027 is that's when the
Winds
next
and waves.
Winds and Waves, yeah. I'm not 100% certain on that, but there's been
Early 2027.
oh, it is early. Okay, so they do need to give us some more announcements then, because at this point, the only thing we know about it is like what the area look a little bit about the area, and we've only gotten one trailer. Um, and what's also insane is that even the Pokemon website doesn't really have anything immediately catching your attention when it comes to the new game. So they really need to start upping their game to start talking about Winds and Waves. Oh yeah, yeah. Um, so in order to find anything about Winds and Waves, I had to go to the video game and apps section and then scroll to the bottom in order to see it. So it's just there's a lot of just uncertainty when it comes to that at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that they really need to give us some more announcements. Um, because they still need to reveal a few more Pokemon. I want let me see here actually. So let me reopen this. That's a different. Like let's go to Scarlet and Violet's page. That'll be good to look at. Visit the site. There we go. So obviously, the Scarlet and Violet is updated to the current stuff, so that's whatever. Ignore the DLC. Let's see. Trainer's Guide. Does this? Yeah, this is. So let's see. So they had they had announced a few Pokemon. I think. Let me see here. Yeah. So obviously, Winds and Way, or sorry, Scarlet and Violet. They had announced obviously the legendaries, but they announced those right away. Um, Coridon and Maridon. Um, they have not announced Winds and Waves. They have not shown anything about Winds and Waves legendary Pokemon, which is kind of interesting considering the fact that usually the um the two big the two big legendary Pokemon are usually the covers for the game. So they do need to so they need to reveal that. Um and then I don't remember how many Pokemon, but let's give like a reasonable estimate and say like five new Pokemon should get revealed before long. Besides the starters, I think. Like probably an early mammal, an early bird maybe. Um Probably at least one um new form for the region. I don't even think we know the name yet for the region. Yeah, we don't even know the name of the region yet. So that's another thing. We need to know the name of the region. We need to see like some character. I'd like to see some character customization for sure. I think that needs to be revealed. Um, like they've shown off a few Pokemon. But all of the Pokemon are Pokemon that have just they're just out in the world. So that's yeah. Um, but yeah, I want to see some more gameplay. I think that's a big thing that I want to see. I'm very curious when it comes to Winds and Waves on the gameplay style that they're gonna go for. Um, Specifically, like, are they going to keep it turn based, or are they going to start doing experimenting more and going more in the direction of what ZA did? Because that would be fun. That would be very fun if they continue to do that. And now that they have champions,
Agreed.
they could just have the turn-based stuff be in champions, and then yeah, and then Winds and Waves and whatever other games that they create during that time, they could go all in with like special new ways of playing. Maybe more than 6 Pokemon in your team at a time. Um, Various different things like that. But yeah, we need to know about character customization. We need to know about more Pokemon. There's a lot. There's a lot of things that we should absolutely know more about. Um, but yeah, I think like the big thing about Winds and Waves specifically, and why I would like to see it either at Gamescom or TGS, I think TGS is a little bit more likely, is we don't know the big things that we don't know that we should know by this point is the name of the region and at least a first look at the legendaries. It doesn't have to be much, but those two things I think are the biggest things that we should have already known. Because we knew we knew the name Paldea, and we knew about the two legendary Pokemon when it came to Scarlet and Violet, like from the get go. So yeah, I would also like to see like at least 5 new Pokemon. And one of those can be like the alternate version, whatever the region's name is, the such and such. Let's say Giraffe Rig. I don't know. That's just like me. I don't think we're gonna see a new version of Giraffe Rig, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, maybe like specific type or specific region name, whatever the Pokemon, as well as because they've done convergent and divergent evolution. I think that we should also see a convergent evolution thing as well, like Wiglet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Um, but yeah. So those are that. We don't need to know about DLC for a while, so that's fine. Um, but yeah. So Pokemon. I don't. We spent too much time talking about Pokemon. Um, for Gamescom because I don't think it's gonna be there. It could be there, but that would be yeah. Um, do you think there's a possibility even that Haunted Chocolatier is there?
No.
No. Yeah. Like as much as I would really like to see it, we both would like to see it. It's probably not going to be there. Um he still hasn't said anything like, "Yeah, it's almost done" or anything like that. And when it is almost done, he's probably going to be like, "It's almost done. It's coming in whatever." And he's probably I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But I would like to see something from that. I mean, maybe he will be like, "Yeah, I will put it in whatever game maybe not necessarily Gamescom, but something like that." Um let's see. So obviously there's probably going to GTA is probably going to be there as much as I hate that. Um I think Wolverine is probably going to be there, but I'm not touching Wolverine with a 10-foot pole for a while. Because that's a PlayStation only exclusive game, so I'm not yeah. And I'm mad at PlayStation. So um but yeah, let me think about like some other things. Um I don't expect there to be anything for like Minecraft or anything like that. Um I guess like here, let me look at Nintendo because Nintendo recently has been doing some interesting trailers. So there could probably be something about the new My Hero Academia Switch or the new My Hero Academia fighting game. There could probably be something about the Lord of the Rings game that's coming out. Um, but yeah, I think that there's a decent possibility for a lot of like other of games that have already gotten like trailers and stuff to come out. I think the big problem is like you can't really predict Gamescom too much because a lot of the games that they like to do, especially for opening night live, is they really like to get world premieres. And like if you follow like certain companies, you could probably get like some prediction there. Um I don't know. I'd like to see something like another Nino Kuni or another Dark Cloud from Level 5. That's not happening though because like Level 5 is being dumb. They might have stopped being dumb by this point. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping track of it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Um they're not going to do it but they're probably not going to do another Nino Kuni. They're probably not going to do another Dark Cloud as much as I would really like them to do another Dark Cloud. Um what's a game that you would like to see? Something because I like yeah, whether it be like a remake or a remaster or just like a sequel to another game that you've played.
Um, it would be really cool if they could port the original Pokemon games over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually a thing that we should think about when it comes to that because there's been rumors that they're working on it as like part of the whole because of the fact that they're getting rid of the Pokemon Bank. Yeah, they're getting rid of Pokemon Bank, which that's a whole thing that we don't need to discuss right now. But it's a lot. That's annoying. But yeah, they're getting rid of Pokemon Bank. I didn't use Pokemon Bank. I don't think you use Pokemon Bank. I don't even have Pokemon Bank actually. Do you even have it?
Nope.
Yeah. And you can't get it anymore. So like this does not affect us. It's more of like this represents like a problem in in the industry at this point is like yeah, they're killing this thing and it means that you can't bring your Pokemon from like the earliest games anymore. Um and it's kind of like the DS and the 3DS era are just like now inaccessible, and I think that that's the worst part of it. Um but I do think I'm hopeful that that means that they are going to start working on like porting other games. Like port the original Game Boy games, port the original I don't know. Yeah. Get like at this point just get them all on the Switch. Like I know that especially for the DS era of things, like that's its own issue. Um because like how do you handle two screens on the Switch? I can un-
Yeah.
I can understand them trying being like really uncertain on what to do with that. I think what I would say is would probably be the best option is like it's a smaller section for them. It's like a smaller part of the screen, and then you can like hit a button. Let's say like minus on your controller. Um, and that will switch the screen. I don't know. There are options. Is like my point. Or actually, probably it would be one of the triggers or buttons. Um, Triggers or bumpers would probably be what it would be as like a way to do it because you do still need access to start and select, and that would be the minus and the plus. So I don't know what they would do exactly with switching it, but yeah, basically swap out which screen you're looking at and stuff like that. Um, and there's just issues when it comes to doing the touch screen for anything. Um, I don't know. So yeah, porting those, I think that is like a big discussion that Nintendo is just trying to figure out. Like, they know they're getting close to that era, and they're just like, we have no idea what we're doing. um, some g-
Yeah.
some games have been ported from the DS and 3DS era, but a lot of them had like other versions of the games. Um, so they've just like ported those versions instead. Um, and it's not too many. It's like one. I think it's like one or two of them. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, so I don't know. The big problem with like Pokemon specifically is like Pokemon is rarely at like the big events, and that's partially because Pokemon is just so freaking massive that they don't need to be. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens if Pokemon. It would be nice to see Pokemon there. Um, I would like to see some more information about the next Pokopia DLC. Um, I do. So at this point, we don't really know anything about the next DLC that's coming. We know that there's going to be some stuff. It's not going to be a new town. But we know that there is going to be some cool stuff happening with that. There's going to be some more Pokemon that are going to get added. There's going to be accessories, I think is what they said, and other gameplay features that are getting added. Um, and then the final DLC isn't coming out until January. So, or I don't even think they've said that it's January. They said that it's early 2027. So we'll see what happens with that. Um, and to be fair, this is just the first expansion pass for Pokopia. Um, if they're like, let's be honest, Pokopia is probably or Pokemon probably wants to milk Pokopia for as long as they can. I would not be surprised if either one of a few things could happen. One, Pokopia, a new Pokopia game after this, probably like a few years after later, whether that be the whether it be after my guess is probably way after like DLC for Winds and Waves has come out. Um they might do like, hey, here's another Pokopia game. Um but we'll see. So that's that. Oh, that's another question. Do you think that there's going to be another Animal Crossing that could get announced at any time soon?
I hope so, but I don't think so.
Yeah. There's been rumors that there's going to be another one soon, but at the same time, it's like that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could just be like a rumor. It really could just be rumors. Um, the big thing is that there's not really a good way of knowing what's coming. Um, because a lot of these companies really like the thing is they do have to be quiet is the thing about their projects and stuff like that because if they do give too much information about it, then um it leads to uh disappointment, for lack of a better way of putting it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Um but yeah, we'll see. Um trying to think of like what other games. I'm mostly like trying to think of Nintendo. And the thing I think that's like one of the big issues is with Gamescom is like and this is part of the reason why I don't want to live stream Gamescom this time. Um I might there's a chance. I'm not promising live streaming watching uh opening night live. I don't even know if I will be available at that point. Um I don't know if I'm even going to record it, whatever, because the fact of the matter is I don't want if they are going to talk about PlayStation, which they probably are going to talk about PlayStation games. I don't want to promote PlayStation right now to be like, "Hey, you should do this," because that's dumb. They're being very dumb. Um, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens when it comes to PlayStation. Hopefully they'll make a stance. Hopefully Gamescom will make a stance against it, but there's no way of knowing at this point in time. Um, I guess another question to think about is, um, do you think that there's a possibility of like Super Smash Bros. Getting another game, not after Ultimate? Because I don't think that there's a chance of there being another one personally.
I don't think so either.
You know, but yeah, frick, I get I can't really think of more stuff. Um, yeah. Uh oh. Well, no, Zelda if there is going to be a new Zelda game getting announced, it's going to be announced at a Nintendo Direct. So, as much as I would like to see more stuff from like Nintendo and stuff at Gamescom, I do think that Nintendo is probably going to mostly focus to doing the if they're going to do anything, they're probably going to be like, here's a Direct at some point during Gamescom. And that's it. It's probably not going to be like, oh yeah, this all these games are coming out. Let's reveal all of these insane games at opening night live and just and yeah, who knows? We'll see what happens there. Um, but yeah, there's I think that's pretty much that's all I have to say. Um, there is also a part of me that would like to see um the companies promote like a few other options. Like let's say just as an example, with PlayStation being like this, maybe start promoting GOG, honestly. Because no one talks about GOG in like the big industry, because it is part of it is because of the fact that they are actually like the good guys, and they um if you once you buy the game, you own the game, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. um but yeah, I don't know, we'll see. There's very few companies that will actually put their games on GOG right away. Like you can get certain games on there, but mostly that's indie games and stuff like that. Anything bigger is just like, probably not. But anyways, I think that's all I have to say. Any last thoughts before we conclude it?
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, um look forward to Gamescom this week. Remember, uh uh do not log into the PlayStation Network this week. Um if and personally, I'm going to not be doing any PlayStation. I'm not even going to touch the PlayStation this week. So if you are for those of you who are planning to watch like some of my streams, whatever streams I make, none of them are going to be on PlayStation. We might do like a Pokopia stream or stuff like that. But beyond that, I am not promising anything beyond Final Fantasy and maybe Pokopia. But anyways, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed today's nerd chat. I have been Electro Ninja, he's been Jack, and we will see you guys next time. But on.